a mother of 3 young children, I think a lot about what goes into my child's body, what they eat, what they drink, and even the medications that I give them when they're sick. So today I would like to share with you something that most of us probably don't think about: the bright colors in our children's food. Think about your typical lunchbox. It usually contains things like red-colored fruit snacks, a blue yogurt tube, orange crackers, or even a neon sports drink. Those colors are not from fruit or nature. They are made from petroleum-based synthetic dyes such as red 40, yellow number 5, and blue number 1. But it doesn't stop there. Even the medications that we give our children when they are sick can contain these dyes. Something meant to help them or heal them is actually silently exposing them to these chemicals that can affect their mood, behavior, and sleep. Over the past few weeks, I have studied credible sources such as the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Food and Drug Administration, and The Lancet, which is the world's oldest and most respected medical journal. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, many of these dyes were approved decades ago and never studied on the effects of the developing brain. If you've ever wondered why some children struggle more with restlessness, focus, or behavioral problems, you might be surprised to learn that the color of their cereal or vitamins may be contributing. So today I want to persuade you that artificial dyes should be banned in products marketed to children, because growing evidence has shown the negative impacts on your overall healthy child, the impacts on a child with ADHD, and how it disrupts the brain development, mood, and sleep. First, we'll look at how dyes impact your overall healthy child. Artificial dyes don't just affect a few children. They actually affect nearly all of them. A groundbreaking 2007 study in The Lancet called the Southampton Study found that dyes in these common drinks are actually contributing to hyperactivity in preschoolers and school grade students with no prior diagnosis. This study was so influential that European countries actually started requiring warning labels on foods that contained these dyes, and companies started reformulating their products to European markets. A California Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment report in 2021 reviewed dozens of studies and concluded that synthetic dyes can trigger or worsen behavior in children, depending on the sensitivity. In 2022, a peer-reviewed journal by Miller and colleagues added that the FDA's considered safe dye limits were actually based on outdated animal studies and never examined the effects on the developing brain. Now that I've shared how these dyes affect a child that is overall healthy, I will show you how it affects a child who's previously been diagnosed with ADHD. For children already diagnosed with ADHD, synthetic dyes magnify their daily challenges. A journal published in 2012 called the Journal of American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychology found that removing these dyes produced small but significant improvements in hyperactivity and attention. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration acknowledged a subset of children who experienced reactions from these dyes. The AAP warns that safety testing was never accounted for in these outcomes. When candy or colored juice can worsen impulse behavior problems and focus problems, it's clear that these dyes do not belong in products marketed to children, especially with those who have problems in attention. We have to ask ourselves, is this really worth it? Lastly, I would like to share how these dyes disrupt brain development, mood, and sleep. Scientists believe that dyes interfere with brain development by disrupting neurotransmitters and creating oxidative stress, which are both essential in learning and behavior. Parents often report irritability, restlessness, and even sleep disorders when these synthetic dyes in foods or medications are consumed. Here's something most don't realize. These dyes can stay in our children's system for up to 2 to 3 days. So a red colored drink on Monday can still be affecting their mood on Wednesday and Thursday. The FDA itself admits that removing these dyes can improve mood and behavior in a child. This concern is finally reaching policymakers. The Los Angeles Times reported that California passed the Food Safety Act, removing red dye number 3 from products marketed to children. And remember that even over-the-counter medications, including cough syrups, contain red dye number 33 and red dye number 40, showing how deeply these chemicals are woven into our children's lives. Dyes don't just color food, they color mood, behavior, and rest. Artificial dyes add no nutritional value, only risk. If they appear even in children's medication, it's time to act. Here's what we can do starting today. We can check food labels, buying no foods or products that contain any of these synthetic dyes, such as red 40, yellow number 5, or blue number 1. We can contact our state legislators, asking them to support bans on artificial dyes in products marketed to children. We can talk to schools and caregivers and ask them to help us in having a dye-free celebrations and snack time. If we don't act, children will continue to struggle with these behavioral issues. If safer alternatives exist, why should any child suffer because of the color of their cereal or their food? We can set a new standard for protecting our child's development, one where bodies are not painted in chemicals.